Hello and welcome everybody to week 2 of Gabapalooza. This is You and I Builder Live, where you and I try to do something live. I am here joined today by my lovely co-host Brad,
who apparently was muted. Hey everybody,
Hello,
my
Brad.
name's Brad. I am the co-host. I work on the UI Builder Outbound Product Management team, is what we'll call it.
Awesome. I also work on the UI Builder Outbound Product Management team. I'm a Next Experience PM. So welcome everybody. It's a great time for you guys to ask questions. Thanks Earl in the chat. We're going to have lots of chat interaction as always. And Brad, what are we going to do today? Because I forgot.
Yeah, so sorry, I joined like 3 minutes ago. I know everybody was nervous. Today we are going to do some question triage. So I did, a lot of us did a webinar Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, targeted at partners. We had like more than 2,000 people on this webinar, which was kind of crazy. So we got like 700 or 800 questions, I think. We answered a lot of them, but part of my job is to go through and triage and dedupe these questions and answer the ones we didn't answer, and then we're going to send them all out, and then we'll post them. And we're also going to use these questions to drive product feedback and things. So it was a really great webinar, but I got to figure out how to triage these things, and I wanted to not do it in an Excel spreadsheet. So I thought, what if there was a way for me to create some sort of interface to triage questions about the thing that I use to build the interface? So
if only there was a platform we could use that is very extensible, very customizable. You can do awesome things with it.
I've heard.
If only.
All right. Should we get into it?
Let's go ahead and get into it.
All right.
Oh, we're going to build it on Roblox. Let's go.
Is Roblox up? What? Oh, Roblox. I see in the chat now. All right. So I did spend a little time earlier today, and I took this spreadsheet of questions, and I turned that spreadsheet of questions into an app using App Engine Studio, and then I created a workspace. And if you're asking, like, did you create an app in a workspace just to like do a thing one time? I did do that. So let's look at the question data model here. So we've got a couple of tables, question table and the category table. We're going to categorize all the questions. And so let's look at this table real quick so we know what the data model looks like before we open up UI Builder. All right, so this is that new, is this a Utah thing? I'm not in App Engine Studio as much as I used to be, but I do like this little Excel view. So we can see we have lots of 660 questions. So if we look at our data model here, we've got question and answer. So we didn't answer all of them. And then state is one of the big things that we're going to look at. I've got pending, unanswered, answered, duplicate, and not applicable. So we got questions like, is the recording going to be available? And while those were fine questions at the time, those are questions that at this point we don't really care about. So we're just going to say not applicable and not follow up with it. So Lisa says, look at the schema under data. Let's see. Oh, that is kind of nice.
Oh, fancy.
There we go. Yes. I'm in App Engine Studio all the time. No, not really.
So am I.
No, yeah, this is cool. So we have parent. I like that it relates to itself. So what we want to do is I'm going to go through every question, and I'm going to, I need to categorize it. I need to say, like, what is this question related to? And then is it a duplicate? And if it's a duplicate, I'm going to make it a parent of another question, because it's important to us. If we get, let's say we got 20 questions on when is ATF going to be available for workspace, that's kind of an indicator that that's important and we should make it happen. So we want to know that sort of thing. And then if there was an answer that's not correct, there are a few of those, I'll correct the answer. And then if there's not an answer, obviously we need to answer it. So that's kind of what we're doing here. And instead of just doing this all in one spreadsheet, we're going to build something to make it faster, which may take more time overall, but this is a developer focused thing and that's what developers do. So let's open up UI Builder.
I wonder one day later on, when you get to the next phase in the afterlife, I wonder if someone's going to come up with a tally of how much time you spent building a thing to make a thing go faster versus the amount of time it would have just taken to do the thing.
I hope that doesn't happen, because I'm actually fairly good at, like, okay, it's going to take me longer to do this. I'm just going to do the thing if it's going to take me an hour. But I still
You're powerful.
I still probably spend too much time on it. All right.
It's my hobby. It's my number one hobby, trying to find solutions for problems that don't need it and trying to do it in the most complicated way.
Yep. And then not quite finish. That's
never finish it.
Yes. And then you have to register a domain name also. That's just par for the course.
Oh my God. Can you zoom in a little bit? And also about domain names? At my peak, I owned 86.
Nice.
I've trimmed it down to about 20.
All right. So I have a page set up already. It's got a couple of data resources on it. We've got a data resource where we're going to look up all of our records. I'm limiting this, since there are 700-ish records, I'm limiting to 20 at a time. I don't think I'm going to be able to do more than 20 at a time anyway. And then I also have an aggregation query because I wanted to give myself the number of questions that I have left. And so we're going to do that first. And I want to do something fun with the stylized text here, I think. So actually, what I want to do is I'm going to add this component after. I'm going to add a container in here. And then we're going to move this up into the container. There we go. And then I'm going to make this go sideways. All right, so stylized text. One of the things I love using with stylized text is I like using the concat formula, is what we're calling it. Yeah, that sounds right. So we're going to say, Brad, you have space, comma, and then we're going to go at data dot aggregation query dot output dot data. All right. We're just going to keep hitting dots till we get to count. There we go.
So would we put a, hang on, you're outside of the parentheses.
So I am.
Would we put a filter on the data resource itself?
Yes. So this data resource has a condition on it where it's looking at state as pending. So I've got that state field that has a bunch of options. And so for now, all questions are set to pending right now until I do something to them. So that should, if I click out of it, does that get me something? I don't know. Let's save it and see if I get a value there. That looks right.
You got it.
There we
I just
go.
didn't want to preview.
And then the other thing that I want to do is how do we want it? Let's do it like this. So I'm going to add an icon, and I want it to be, I want to have a happy face if it's less than 50. So that's what we're going to do. Is happy a, does anybody know what the name of the
smile?
Oh, there we go.
There it is.
So we're going to have that there, and then we're going to set some visibility on it. We're going to hide.
Oh, can you do math?
We can do math. I think we can just do it like this. So I think we can go at data. Oh, so many dots. Count.
Wow.
Is, let's say if it's less than 50. That
Oh,
should,
it's not working.
and then I think that we're hiding the component. We should go the other way.
There we go.
There we go. And then we're going to do another one. Except this one will just reverse the thing. And we need to change the, is it
smile? Oh. Sad?
Sad?
Put emoji. Negative. Do negative outline.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right, now let's see how that looks. All right. I don't like that. Can we make it bigger? Yeah, we can. Extra large. And then let's add some padding and see if that helps.
I think you might have to fix the alignment.
Oh
no, there it goes.
I think it worked. That sometimes if you make something bigger and add the large padding, it's magic.
That doesn't sound right.
That's
That doesn't sound right, but okay. Let's do the same to the smiley face now.
So let's see if we can make the smiley face show up. How would I change this? We'll do this. So if we just change this instead of pending unanswered, so there's no unanswered. So if I do that and save, we should get the smiley face. Oh, but I didn't do the padding.
But we didn't do the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So extra large and padding, and it's magic.
Magic.
Yay! Except that's not right. So 0 questions left.
No, I mean, it says 0 questions. I think we're good to end for the day. So thanks everybody for coming to UNI Builder Live. Be sure to tune in 2 weeks. Thank you all so much for watching.
It is intern day. Well played.
Man, if I had known the intern joke would have had knowledge for years, I don't think I could have made it. Like, this is amazing.
All right, so we're going to add a repeater, and I want all those questions in the repeater. Whoa. Here we go. So data array, we have that data resource set up already. So we're going to go data, look up records. If I was good or had more time, I would have, I think we just need results. Yeah, that's right. I would have renamed that lookup records to be something that made more sense. Just
no, you wouldn't have.
Rename. Well, I might have. Probably not.
So So, Brad, what are you drinking?
Oh, this is a Kroger cranberry lime flavored seltzer.
And I'm drinking a Sprite. Let's rate our drinks at the end.
I do like
Gimmick infringement.
I do like combining lime with another flavor. Okay, so there's a few things we want to do. Let's put a container in the repeater. That's not going to work. Wow.
Today we learned how to spell container, y'all.
There we go. I never spell container correctly. All right, and then in that container, I think I want 2 columns. No, 3. Let's do 3. I'm going to make it a grid. And part of me really wishes this was a week from now and we could do this on Vancouver, especially when I'm laying out a page for the first time. But we're not gonna do that. And in a week, if you're not RTP, you'll know what I'm talking about. Ooh, so we're gonna have what I want is the question, and then the answer, and then some buttons that are gonna help me work with that. And so we're gonna have a whole bunch of lines here, and I'm gonna want it to word wrap. And I don't know if I do paragraph, if that's gonna work, but let's see. If I'm in a repeater, I'm gonna go item.value, and then we're gonna go question. Still undefined. Not sure what's going on. I'm going to duplicate this. It's going to show up next to it, and we're going to just change that to answer.
Don't you need display value?
You know what? I probably do. That's why it's undefined. Good call.
Thanks. I learned from the best and the weirdest.
Hey, there we go. It worked.
Yay!
All right. Well, one of them worked. Oh, it may not have an answer.
It doesn't have an answer because
this was a hard one.
We would have never gotten something to show up there.
Yeah, the first day there were a lot of people on, and we had like 5 panelists answering questions, and everyone got overwhelmed pretty quickly because there were a lot more people on than we thought would be on. All right, so this is okay. It does word wrap, which is good. One of the problems, we tried to do this way back when, is make the coloring different, but there's a problem with the repeater to where we don't always know like whether the number is even or odd, and so it's kind of hard. So I think at the very least, we will probably add a border around the container, and that will at least give us some sort of differentiation between the different items in the list. So not neutral 5. Let's go something dark, but not black. No radius.
Do padding.
Add some padding. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think we need a little bit of margin so they don't run into each other too. Just a little bit. All right, let's see how that looks.
What
Looks
happened to your
terrible.
borders?
All right, so here's my borders. I really don't want to spend all of our time troubleshooting this, but that looks terrible. Why did it do that? Let's make the container or the repeater a container. See if that helps.
Oh, nice.
For some reason that helped. That's great. Why wouldn't that? It's all right. I'm not going to try to troubleshoot why that happened. So let's just add a little bit of margin to the repeater itself, and then see if we get some spacing. Nope. All right. Who cares? At least it's all different.
We care.
And then on the far right, we're going to add some actions. That's what we want to do here. So we're going to add a component after. It's going to be a container that I spelled correctly. Just wanted the credit there. And then here's where we have some choices to make. So ultimately, we want to set the state. And so it's either going to be, what were our states here? So our states are.
Can we click on that and see?
I kind of want to see.
Oh.
No. That would have been cool though.
That would have been way too cool.
Questions. All right.
Nope.
We'll go back to fields. And this one. There we go. Pending, unanswered, answered, duplicate, and not applicable. So the most common thing for me to do is just going to say this has been answered and we want to include it, or it's a duplicate, or it's not applicable. And there may be some that I'm going to say I don't want to answer right now. So I think this is what we're going to do. We're just going to add 3 buttons. I thought about maybe also adding the actual drop down, but I think we're just going to add some buttons.
Why wouldn't we do a drop down or a split button?
I think, well, the split button, we could do a split button. I think it's going to be easier for me just to click on the individual buttons. I think that'll be the fastest way to do this.
Fair. We'll allow it.
This is all about me.
100%.
Right. So let's go padding. And then I'm going to call this one what were answered. I already forgot.
I got answered, pending, unanswered, duplicate, not applicable.
All right. So I think for our buttons, I'm going to go answered, duplicate, and not applicable, which we're going to call discard because I like that better. Answered.
You have to change that to variant primary.
Who I do. Ooh, should we do icons? How about a check?
Is there an option to put the icon at the end? I really don't like that. I don't think there is.
Good question.
Bummer.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome that they're floating up the ARIA properties there and the tooltip label. That's some awesome accessibility.
Yes. That is nice. Let's do that. Answered. And then we'll do one more. So we're going to go answered, duplicate,
secondary,
and discard. I'll go back to that one.
And then not applicable.
Ooh, I want to
negative.
I want to call it discard. Oh yeah, let's go negative.
There we go.
Secondary. Then
trash.
Ooh, that's much better than an X.
Be super mean about it.
I was going to make some X comments, but I decided not to. Duplicate.
Do copy.
Copy.
No.
There is a. Oh, what did I use? Copy. Is there like a document? I think there's like a 2 documents thing somewhere.
That's what I thought would pop up under copy. That's so weird. There it is.
Outline. And then we'll make this one
secondary or tertiary.
That'll work.
There it is.
All right. So let's save that and see how it looks.
Oh, that looks nice.
It's not bad. All right. So we get answered. So we're done. Now we have to. Now we
awesome. We're
gotta make 'em work.
done.
So the first thing we're going to do is add an update record data resource.
Man, these interns are awful. Stop. Move us that way.
I'm just happy he's doing it to you instead of me. Update. Wow.
That's the best jump scare.
All right. We're just going to call it update so it's easier to call. So for answered, all right, discard's the easiest one. So let's start with that one. So discard, we're just going to set the state of the record. So update, we're going to execute. This is going to be on my questions table. And I did name this table plural, partially because there's so many questions tables, but only one of them is plural, and it's mine. Search for record. This is going to be, if we fire this, this is going to be...
Is it item?
I think we have access to it from here.
Because we're inside of the container.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's under row data. Let's see. Oh, don't go away.
No.
Row data, unique value.
Someone in chat is taking issue with you naming a plural table name.
I know, it's questions a really common table. So let's, if I were not to name it questions, how many of these do we have? That's too many, but look now. Oh,
just one.
Also, this is my own personal instance. So, no, we're item. Item.value.rowdata.unique value. So we're going to set the state to, that was discard. And then I think that's it. All right, so we're going to set the state to discard, and then we're going to refresh the lookup records data resource so it disappears. So let's save that and test it.
Earl reminded me of something. Yesterday during the Q&A, someone asked what was it? It was something about, what do you consider UI Builder low code?
That's a great question.
It was some form of variant of that. And I didn't know quite how to answer, because technically you don't need to know scripting, but you sure need to know like a JSON structure and how to dot walk through data.
Yeah, so I think right now, like as of Utah, we would not consider low code users. So when we say low code, that's really a persona rather than like a way that the tool works. And so the low code persona, we don't really consider that a UI builder persona. So UI builder is really more for our like pro code developer personas right now. So yeah, low code, high complexity is another way to say that. I saw low code, high config. So it is still like you have to learn it, and there's a high learning curve. Our goal, from Tokyo through the next couple of releases is really to add features to UI Builder to make it a little easier to use, and to kind of move towards low code to where it's a lot easier to just pick up and use. And next week, you'll see some cool things in Vancouver where we're moving in that direction, and we're making it a lot easier to use. I've seen some Washington stuff that looks really cool, some designs for that. So I think we're going to get there. But for right now, no, this is not, somebody that you're going to just throw at for a day and then they're going to be fine and up and running with it. So it does require some time to really learn how to use it. We do get some pretty good feedback from people once they have, taken the time to learn it and use it. But obviously we want that learning curve to be a lot lower and people to use it faster.
Makes sense. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to try this. I'm going to try this with this Q&A one because this is a question that at this point we don't care about because the Q&A will be set up or they'll have it at that point. So let's hit discard and see if it disappears. Oh, it sure did not. What if we refresh?
Do you need to add in a page reload?
Oh, I do need to add in a page. All right, so let's try it. Oh, still didn't work. What if we refresh?
It did update the data in the top left corner though, so it shows 659. So I think we don't have a filter for the bottom.
I think you're probably right. I think maybe that lookup records data resource
doesn't have any conditions.
That's it. It doesn't have a filter on it. I think I updated the glide aggregate, but not the update records. So let's save, let's refresh.
Yay.
There it is. Now,
do you need to add a page refresh to the button or would the resource refresh be enough?
The resource refresh is enough. So anytime the data refreshes, it's going to automatically refresh the stuff on the page. Let's see if there's another one that we have here. Thanks for all the replies, I believe. Okay, that's one we probably don't need.
It went away.
I would love to have some sort of animation where it like fades out. I don't know that that's a thing we can do easily though. Oh, you know what we can do is we could add a loading state. This is kind of a fun one. So we say loading. We don't need any text and we don't need to make it non-block, or we do need to make it non-blocking. So what this is going to do is there's going to be a little line across the top here that's going to go. And then when it's done, it'll go away. But we also need to tell it when it's done. So we're going to set the loading state when I hit the button. And then the lookup records data resource is going to fire an event when it has succeeded. And then we will do set loading state and we will just clear the loading state. I think this will work like that.
I didn't know you could add events onto data resources. Interesting.
Yeah, so it's a really good tool to add events to data resources. You can do a lot of error catching and error handling here. And UI Builder is really built to be reactive. So you're reacting to events that are happening rather than like having a long script where you're saying, okay, do this. Okay, I'm going to get the results of that and use that somewhere else. Rather than having some sort of long thing that's going to orchestrate your user interactions, you're just responding to different things happening. So, you might trigger a data resource and the data resource triggers a client script and the client script triggers something else. And so you've got this long chain of things, which I would love us to be able to visualize a little better. And that is, something we're thinking about doing. But that's kind of the paradigm here. All right, so I think that worked. Let's go back into the data and see if we can I change the sort on this? Sort oldest to newest.
I just love all these low-key, like, quality of life improvements that ServiceNow has added over the years. Like, I remember having to deal with options and choices on fields and having to go into sys choice and then inactive equals false and all these awful things, but here you're able to see a list view of your records and go straight to the database, to the table schema, and just seamlessly go back and forth. It's so nice.
It is nice. All right, so we reset that one back to pending. So I'm going to save, and then that should show up here.
Did you just keyboard shortcut save?
I did. It's been around.
Nice.
I think we did that in Tokyo. But we are adding more keyboard shortcuts for things. There's some really fun keyboard shortcuts coming in Vancouver, along with some functionality that's nice. What was the Q&A one? It didn't show back up because I didn't refresh.
Are you sure you set it back to pending?
I thought I did. Oh, do I have to save it? Fine. There it is. So let's go. So when I hit discard, we should see a little line come across up here and then disappeared. And then disappear when this goes away. There it goes. That was quick. So that was the time between when I hit the button and when the server came back with the data. And then my number updated.
No, it didn't.
So it did not. I think the reason it didn't update was because it's in this inside of this concat. So let's try something just because.
Should we add an event to the stylized text?
So you can't make the stylized. I think let's call this a feature gap instead of the other word. But I think all right, so we have a few things going on here. So let's see what happens here.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
I take this and can I not refresh you? I guess we could just do whatever and I can set them all back to pending later. All right, so if I go refresh, I am curious to see if the reason that this number doesn't update is because it's inside of that formula and the formula doesn't know to refresh. Because in UIB, anytime any component's properties update, the component should automatically update. But
could it be?
Go ahead.
Could it be that it's because we're using the aggregation query and not the lookup query?
That probably is the reason. Good call. All right, well, let's test this, but I think you're right. So let's go discard. None of them updated. I think you're right. Let's update the aggregation.
So that means we have to add it to the button.
Yes. It's this one.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Does it matter what order things are in here? Like set loading state before the refresh?
It depends on who you talk to. I do think it matters. I do think it executes them in an order, but it's all async, and you can't reorder them. But yeah.
That was my next question. Can you drag and drop?
No. All right, let's see if this works. 658.
There we go.
Updated. That was it. You win.
Yay.
Somebody get Gabby her prize. All right, so we did discard. This was the easy one. We could do duplicate. So what I want to happen, if I say it's a duplicate, I'm going to pop up a modal, and then I want to pop up a modal, and then I want to be able to set the parent in the modal and hit save, and then have it go away. So let's do that one because I think this one's going to be fun. I did see something that somebody says the documentation does say they run randomly, and people say they run randomly, but I have never actually watched them run out of order. Like if you do a bunch of logging or something, it always happens in order. So It's not. It is supposed to be random and async, but I don't know that it actually is. But if one of our UID engineers is watching, then maybe they can correct me. Yeah, go ahead.
Fatima, welcome to the show. They are asking, can one completely new to UI Builder reproduce what we are doing here in their own PDI?
Probably. I do have a spreadsheet that I used basically to create the app that you would not have, but it's basically, if you watch from the beginning, you should see most of the data model. So it'd be, pretty easy to reproduce. There's only a couple of tables in this app. What are we doing? Duplicate next. Oh, so this will be a fun one. So first we need to add a modal. I'm going to add a custom modal here. And then what I'm going to put in the modal, I'm going to go stylize text because I always do a stylized text. And then I think, so this is duplicate. And then we'll say, we'll just put we'll put the question in the header. This is going to look odd, but what we need to do before that is add a client state parameter to hold active question. And then we'll go back to our modal. We're going to set that to state active question. All right.
We have a quick question from the chat. Can we update multiple records from the modal? Imagine in this scenario, if we wanted to have the button in list view, which opens a modal, and once submitted, it will update multiple records.
There is an update multiple record data resource. So it's probably a little more complicated than you would want it to be. But if we look at, I think there's an update and delete multiple records. So there is this update multiple records data resource. You're going to have to basically pass it a big JSON blob, I believe, that tells it which records are updating and how you're updating them. But that is a thing that's possible. So you'd have to build that JSON somewhere and then send it to the data resource. But for this, we're just going through one record at a time because they could all be different. I could add a checkbox and then, if I wanted to discard 10 at a time, I could do that. But I think that it's going to be so easy just to hit the buttons. Where was I? Modal. So in the middle, what I want to do is add a list. I'm going to do a simple list. Yeah, this is going to get kind of complicated, but let's see.
Yeah, I'm really wondering how you're going to do it.
So I want a list of questions, and then these are going to be, so we're going to go a list of questions where the state is, let's go is one of, and it's either going to be answered or unanswered. So basically, I don't want to be able to set a parent of a question unless the parent has been addressed already. So the first one I see will end up being the parent. That makes sense. And then we're going to set some columns here. I think the only column I want is the question.
Why hasn't the title of the list not changed?
I think I just froze.
We can still hear you if you can hear us.
Yep. Yeah. I think my screen just froze, so this should be interesting. All right. I'm going to stop my screen share real quick.
That's amazing.
That is a thing that almost happened.
Oh, man.
Oh, no, we're back. Hey, that actually worked. How did that work? I've been having a problem the last couple of weeks where my screen will freeze and then my laptop will restart 30 seconds later. So I think we're good.
You got to reshare your screen.
I just shared. There we go.
Yay.
All right, let's go back to my modal.
Remember, folks, this is why we always Alt-S on instinct.
I know. I just
you
did.
breathe Alt-S.
All right, so we're just going to show the question. No records to display because we don't have any records that have been answered yet. We'll have to add one. And
What's
then
up with the title, though?
I think, all active tasks. That's at the bottom now. I don't know why. So we're going to hide basically all the things. We do want to enable word wrap. That is a fun little feature. Hide empty state image, just in case.
Oh, wow.
I think the rest of this is probably okay. Let's call this
available questions, answered questions.
Yeah, let's just say available questions.
And we need to change the columns, don't we?
I think question is the only one I need there.
Oh, you already did. Whoops.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think I did. Yeah. And then let's give it, did I miss number of records? Maximum rows.
Maximum rows.
Let's say 30. I don't know how that's going to look on a modal, but we'll see. And then what we want to do is the simple list has a row clicked, or is it reference clicked now? And so basically when I click that, I want to...
Do we need another client state parameter?
We probably will. So what are we capturing? Just the active question name. We're going to need the active question sysid.
And then we need the selected parent sysid, do we?
That'll be in the event payload.
Oh.
All right. So we've got active question ID. And then on the event click, we are going to use our update data resource on our questions table. And the record we're updating is going to be active question ID. And then we're going to set parent to, and let's see if I remember the payload. Payload dot, oh, it gives it to us, great. Payload dot sysid, I think is what we want. And we're going to set state is duplicate. So I think that's right. I did emphasize the plural, yes. Plural. All right, so now we need to make the button fire. I guess we should add a cancel button. Let's add a cancel button. Just, there's already an X, but we'll go like this. We'll call it negative secondary cancel. And then its event is going to be to close the modal.
So whether it's an open or a close is a toggle?
Yep. So we're going to use the same event to open the modal. That's this one, right? Duplicate. So now we want to open it. It's going to be custom. And then we want to write to the client state parameters. So active question ID is going to be item dot value dot question dot display value. And then we're going to do this again. This time it's going to be the ID. I should have copied the last one. Row data. This was unique value. Okay. So let's go prep some data here. I think we want the actual. What's the question time? Yeah. All right, so let's just, let's say this one was answered. So let's do a couple of them. Let's switch both of these to answered.
Does that work in App Engine Studio, the shift, click, drag?
Yeah, well, this is a normal, I switched out of this one. Well, let's see.
Oh, okay.
No, it does not.
It does not. Oh.
This one does, though. We could go, I'm not going to change.
Nice.
All right, so are we saved? All right, this should work. Oh, I like Lisa's idea of search the list for the one that Gen AI thinks is the right record. Let's go duplicate. All right, we have a couple here.
Oh, cool.
So if I hit this one, did we have
we didn't add
the close
Miss modal.
Yeah. And then we're also going to need to refresh the list. So let's add some stuff to that. We just got so excited that we got to do so much with the data resource. So we did the update. We're going to refresh the lookup records, and then we're going to close the modal.
Oh, and this is tied to the event mapping reference link clicked.
Yes. Cool. So that's basically any reference field I click on in the link fires this event. So that could be the actual record. It could be a reference field somewhere. And so one of the cool things that you can do with this type of event, where it's an event that kind of handles different use cases, is you can use the advanced key here, and you could put a formula in here to tell it when you want that that event handler to fire.
Do we also want to update the aggregate?
Yeah, we should update the aggregate. Yep.
And then let's see if it works.
And then I think if I were to do this again, I would have a handled event that updates all the data resources we want to update every time, so that I just fire the handled event instead of having to add both of those to the. If this works, maybe we'll do that right before we have to drop. All right, so if I refresh, I think that one should go away. Can you add a choice field?
It's gone.
Yep. All right, so let's go. And then let's see, did that. I should have at least one in this list that says duplicate.
There it is.
And then let's add parent and see if parent got added. Yep.
Look at that.
That's kind of nice. All right, so let's try this again. All right, let's just do the top one, and then let's do this.
And it's gone.
And I think it went away. Let's see. Should have another duplicate with the same parent, or I think a different parent this time.
Different.
Yeah, it worked.
Awesome.
And then we don't have time to do this, but what I want to do for answered is I want to pop a modal that instead of just saying that we answered it, because some of them didn't get answered correctly, or I want to change the answer a little bit, that lets me change the answer and then submit it. But we don't need to do that right now. But let me show you real quick how we might do
a handled event.
So on the body element over on the left here is kind of special. It does some different things. So on its config, it has all these properties. And so you can add properties to the page here that pull things. This is especially important if you have subpages where the properties is how you map data from the parent page to the subpage. But the other thing that they have are events. And so there's a couple of cool things. One of them is it does fire a page ready event. And then there's a page property event. So if that property changes, it fires an event. So there's a few different things that you can key on. But page ready is a really good one, especially for testing. If you just want to know, like, hey, does this thing work? You can do that without having to add a button or anything. We're going to add a handled event. I think this is going to work. Let's see. Refresh the stuff. You can give it a payload. So when you fire this event, you can pass things into the payload and then use the payload to do something. I don't think we need to do that now. So I'm going to add it, and then it's going to be available in my page event mappings. So we'll refresh the stuff, and then let's refresh these data resources. Okay.
Oh, and then how do we use that in our button?
I believe we can just fire this. So let's do that on the discard. I'm going to get rid of these.
Oh, you can click on them and edit them? Yes.
Yes. Wait, what was the first one? That was the wrong one. If only it was a week from now. That's all right. Let's redo that. Oh man. All right.
So while he's fixing that, I'm going to do our plug so we can hopefully end somewhere on time. And then let us know when you're ready to test it, Brad. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us today. I think today's episode was wildly successful. We will see if we continue building this app next time. But be sure to come visit us. We go, let me tell you, I need a calendar for some reason. So we have this show on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of every month. So the next time that we're going to see you is going to be August 10th. And then on the 3rd Wednesday of every month, we also have an academy, the Next Experience Academy. This time we're going to talk about what's new in Vancouver. So be sure to tune in, and hopefully, are we going to get to see Vancouver next time for You and I Builder?
I believe so. Yeah, it'll be Vancouver. I think will be out, right? 2 weeks from today. Will be the next one?
Yeah, so come and check out some cool EA. So come and check out some cool Vancouver stuff. Thank you so much, Brad.
That's right. And I think they're going to do some Tech Now stuff as well. Yeah, so somebody said refresh the page, but I haven't saved in a while, so we would have lost a lot of things had I done that. So I just recreated that. So that refresh the stuff event has shown up under page level event handlers. So I'm going to add it here.
Should we remove the refresh data resource?
What else did I delete then? I'm moving too fast.
Now let's see if it works. That's really cool that you can nest events at least.
Yeah, it's a good way. I mean, I don't use it a lot, but this is actually a decent use case where we kind of always want to refresh both of those. So if I say discard, it did.
Yay!
All right.
Awesome. Good job, Brad. Close out the show.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Special thanks to everybody that was on the webinar on Tuesday and Wednesday this week. We had a good time and got some great questions that we are obviously going to do things with and drive our product development and strategy based on what everybody cares about and is asking for. So thanks everybody for joining. We will be back in a couple of weeks, like Gabby said, and yeah.
Goodbye.